Hello, everyone. We're so glad that you can join us today for another SSAI podcast. I am Dawn Alexander, Marketing and Communications Director at SSAI, and I am very pleased today and honored to be joined by our Corporate Chief Scientist, Oreste Reale. I'm looking forward to our conversation, and so let's get started. Oreste, please tell the audience about yourself and describe how you came to SSAI.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. And I grew up in Italy. I had a classical education initially, then I graduated in geophysical engineering. And then in 92, I came to the US. I got master's and PhD in meteorology from University of Maryland, College Park. I worked for a couple of years back in Europe for a short time. And in 99, I moved back to the US, this time to stay. And I've been at Goddard in various capacities since 2001. I joined SSAI as a corporate chief scientist in December 2021.
Oreste, your background is so very impressive. Please describe some of the activities that you've been performing at SSAI.
So before coming to SSAI, I was director of a cooperative agreement at Goddard, with a cooperative agreement called Goddard Air Science Technology and Research, which was a partnership between NASA and USRA. But also I had performed a lot of science on my own. I've been PIs of many proposals uninterruptedly since 2005. So I kind of blended this expertise of management of a large program with my own science as my own research. And that thing, I think, gave me the special niche within SSAI as a chief scientist. So I was given the role of overseeing in general the research and the direction in which SSAI research is going. And we created an office of sponsor programs that is coordinating all the proposals written by principal investigators, PIs within SSAI, which is something that previously was done in a kind of individual level from different programs, and now it's all coordinated and centralized. And then I kept also overseeing the most important thing. I kept doing my own research with my own grants. I have several grants that I brought actually in SSAI, but the new role was overseeing the research and development, internal research and development in SSAI, which has a great potential of enhancing, putting some investment of the company and enhancing our potential for growth in various areas that we consider strategically important. So those are all the activities that I perform. My own research is mostly atmospheric dynamics, global modeling, and atmospheric data simulation. And I developed for the last at least 10 years things that we learn from the Earth to Mars, and we can help potentially establishing weather forecast capabilities there, since of course humankind is directed towards Mars, and this has tremendous interest right now to basically arrive on Mars with humans, which we certainly will do at some point. So my research is really kind of multidisciplinary. I had several interests, starting from geophysics when I was still in Trieste, University of Trieste, up to, global modeling and now planetary atmospheres. But I always have this interest for also strategic development and research, especially the research development, which is extremely important in a company to keep the pace with the innovations. And also, it's very important to be very flexible and versatile in this era. We cannot, the time when I grew up, actually, it was possible to do the same kind of thing within science. We have to be very flexible, versatile, adaptable, and understand that the environment requires new capabilities every moment, and requires the capability of working between disciplines and having some interdisciplinary approaches. So that is the kind of role that I'm trying to have. I'm trying to expand the communication also within the company. We have been promoting a set of regular talks that allows people and experts in various areas to communicate their capabilities to the rest of the company. So this is also enhancing the collaboration within the company. And in general, it's really very important also to understand kind of research that is done for the Earth, like remote sensing with infrared technology, microwave and ultraviolet and so on, can be applicable to other bodies. Actually, originally it was the other way around. We first developed remote sensing to study other planets, and then you applied it to Earth very extensively. It's important for a company like us to have this open vision. We study the Earth, we study planets, we study space, and to have this comprehensive ability of shifting from one area to the other, when you can transfer an appropriate type of knowledge and technological capability to different sectors.
I've learned so much while working with you, Oreste, about
Uh,
space and
The
science.
same here,
So, oh, thank you.
the communication
And
perspective.
yes, absolutely. Communications and science, as we both agree, they are married at the hip. And I was hoping that you could share with our listeners your vision for the future of space exploration and what is SSAI's role.
Well, we are, I think, at a turning point in history. The pace is going much faster again. The Artemis Accords have been signed by, I think, 56 countries so far, which is incredible. And they all, of course, have put the trust in this idea that humankind will build a city, actually, more than a station, will be a city on the moon. And right now, it's going to be at the south pole of the moon. Right now, there are plans about having internet there, transportation, and extraction of local resources, growing the ability of sustaining food. So the big difference with respect to the International Space Station is that the base, the Artemis base, will try to be as much sustainable as possible. So there is very important, for example, the study of water, which SSAI is supporting as part of our IRA program. We have a scientist who is actually involved in developing an instrument to understand the lunar water cycle, which is crucial. There is water on the moon, contrary to what we believed 50 years ago. There is a lot of water, and there's ice at the South Pole, and also there is water that is trapped in the surface of the moon, a type of rock called regolite, and sublimates during the lunar day and freezes again during the night. And we are trying to measure this to see how much water there is on the moon. But also there are projects about mining on the moon, starting to use some of the local resources like titanium, which is an extremely valuable metal for aerospace engineering and a lot of other applications. And apparently the moon is covered with titanium. There is an immense amount of titanium there's a mineral called ilmenite that is one of the main constituents of the lunar surface soil, which is this regolith. And so there is so much potential enthusiasm, and there are very different nations from all continents. And of course, the US is going to be the leader in that. And it's a fantastic adventure for the next generation. And from there, there is this next step of the moon to Mars, which using the moon as a base to explore the solar system, which has a tremendous amount of advantages because, of course, lower gravity, and the possibility of course, reaching other bodies in the solar system without with a definitely a facilitated situation. And there is this interest in Mars because Mars is a planet that is the closest to us in terms of current situation. It did have a very thick atmosphere in the past. It was a twin of the Earth billions of years ago. It had oceans. We have very clear evidence that there was a lot of water and oceans and rivers and streams. There are sedimentary and rocks on Mars like we have on Earth. And it does have still to this day a thin atmosphere, which is better than the moon. It has a little more gravity, which is also advantageous for human activities. So I am convinced that the future of humankind is in space. We are 8 billion, past 8 billion people on Earth. And the dream that one famous science fiction writer, Isaac Asimov, had many years ago about expanding, human civilization in space and transforming the Earth in a huge national park and preserve, international park and preserve, and living, of course, agriculture on the Earth and all the farming activities, and trying to have most of the industrial activities in space. And that's something, looked science fiction, but right now at the pace in which we are progressing, with the new era of commercialization of a lot of entities that start developing their own spacecraft and expanding, it seems more real. So NASA will still have a very important role into, of course, for the wisdom and the knowledge acquired over these decades. But SSAI, together with many other private companies, has a special role in facilitating this new dream. So this is a great moment for us, and if we are, and the goal of SSAI, of course, is help NASA's mission and help the ability of expanding humankind into space. So space is truly the future. I am convinced, and it's the only way of also addressing, is the best way of addressing a lot of environmental problems, because if we can transfer a lot of the activities that we do on Earth, the Earth could be handled much better, and we could solve a lot of environmental issues on the Earth. And it's also important to add that all this work that we do has potential implications also for the safety of the nation and defense in general, because a lot of these things that we do in remote sensing and modeling have applications that can be used for national security and defense. There are a lot of hostile countries in these days, and definitely there is the role of space there is fundamental, whether one likes it or not. It's happening because there are more satellites, there are hostile countries that are planning or trying to sabotage the communication network. And this is something, again, in which a company like SSAI, with its expertise on remote sensing, has a potential role to play, also to help national and worldwide security and improve the safety of the communication, and guaranteeing that the observation that we can take from space can be used also for including safety. And they are already used in the civil protection, and that can be expanded a role into many other applications that involve also defense.
I appreciate the information that you're sharing, Oreste. And again, you're our corporate chief scientist, and I'd like to tap into your experience and expertise on the question of science. What is science, and how does it fit into our society?
Well, science is just one of the many branches of human knowledge. It has a very precise methodological approach, which a lot of people tend to forget. Science is based on the concept of basically empirical observations and what is called the empirical falsification, which is a methodology that tells you that something is considered true until new observations will demonstrate it is not true. So science works on the concept of the transforming reality and truth. We don't have absolute truth as other branches of knowledge may have, like mathematics or even philosophy. We do have a transient truth that is demolished every time there is a new discovery. And so it's very important to say that statements like that we see occasionally on the news, like saying unquestionable evidence, that's not a scientific sentence. By definition, everything we do in science is questionable, must be questioned. And the best scientific advances have been done by questioning the previous knowledge and the previous status quo. So science is a dynamic entity and is based on a constantly evolving set of observations, and physical sciences particularly, they need observations to corroborate, and no theory is accepted unless it's proven with some kind of experiment or scientific evidence. And even the things that are considered the pillars of our knowledge, they at some point they can get disrupted. Einstein himself said, I have one single experiment or measurement could prove that I am wrong. And so we consider still relativity one of the pillars of our scientific knowledge, but we have to be aware that even the founder of relativity was aware that a single experiment could demonstrate that some aspects are incorrect. So that should lead in a true scientist to a certain level of humility. I think good scientists are humble. They are always aware that their knowledge is temporary knowledge, is not absolute, is not eternal. So I think that the best scientists in the past, they have interests in other things. They were interested in art and history, in literature, and to be one-dimensional is a very dangerous thing. Scientists would just focus on the science, and they think that that's the only type of knowledge that exists. They are making a disservice to themselves and to their environment. in reality, scientists should always be open to exploring other aspects of society, like social scientists, human scientists, and arts and literature. And we have examples, like there was someone like Oppenheimer, for example. He had very profound knowledge of ancient Indian culture and civilization. He could write Sanskrit fluently and read Sanskrit. And there were many other peoples who had great interest in art and ancient civilizations and history and so on. So it's important that we understand that science is one branch of knowledge, is not the only knowledge we have.
That's a very important perspective that you shared with, very relevant points, Oreste. And, thank you again for sharing this and for joining us during our brief talk today. And for
Pleasure
those
for
of
me.
you, oh, wonderful to hear, Oreste. And for those of you who are listening, if you have thoughts, comments on what Oreste has shared, please, there's information below how to contact us, and we would love to hear from you. Oreste, I know personally, mentors many, is in touch with many, and so, welcomes interactions with others about these and other, relevant topics. So please don't hesitate. We look forward to hearing from you. And also, I would encourage everyone to subscribe to our podcast and also to look at the numerous other podcasts that we have. And if you have any questions, we're certainly open and interested. Again, Oreste, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing all of you again.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.